we're talking about something that's, I think, close to all of our hearts. But you know, obviously, I work in mental health, and we're all black men, so I think specifically talking about mental health in black men, why we don't talk about it to each other, the stigmas around it, and the rest of it. Because I found out this week that black men are, I didn't know the exact numbers, I knew it was more likely, but black men are 17 times more likely to be diagnosed with a mental health disorder than anyone else. So yeah, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, as I said, we're not surprised about that we are more likely, but the number is very punchy. It gets to you that 17 times a very big statistic, and a disparity between other ethnic groups. Or
for me, it's mad, to be honest. Like, it's mad. It shouldn't be. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's 17 times more likely. Imagine being 17 times more likely to do anything than someone else. Like,
why do you think it is though? Why do you think we're 17 times more likely?
Boy, there's layers, isn't it? There's mad
multiple layers.
Because even us, man, like, we're from the hood. We know, being from the hood, things that happen that very easily lead to PTSD that goes undiagnosed. Do you know what I mean? Like,
no, facts. You just have to get on with it. In terms of, like, as you said, growing up in the hood, there are certain things that happen, but because you're in like a survival mode, you can't deal with those that trauma. So you're just like, okay, cool, this happened, I need to move.
Do you know what I think as well? I think there's a lot of stuff here, it's just normalised. Do you know what I mean? So like, if a man gets moved to, it's normal. Not normal, but you know what I mean? It's
something you expect.
It's a part of life.
I'm sure it's happened to all of us at some point in our lives.
I remember when, you must remember, in year 6 when we had beef with Stanley, year 7s.
Oh. Stanley had year 7s?
Their year 7s came to our school when we were year 6.
Which is mad when you think about it.
That is mad. That is mad.
Exactly. That's normal. I remember, like, my mum, she saw thingy. She told me this. He was like 11, and he was smoking a zoot. And my mum was like, what are you doing? He was like, auntie, I'm stressed, man. But he's like 11 years old. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, I don't know, man. There's many different layers to it, and that's just one layer. Do you know what I mean? There's not the layer where we can't chat about it. Yeah. Do you get me? Are you good?
Do you think we can't chat about it, or we don't know how to?
Bit of both.
Like, you look at my dad. My dad can't talk to his dad, or couldn't talk to his dad. His dad couldn't talk to his dad, because you have to just man up and.
You know what you said, Raul, about survival mode. I think that makes you just more likely to be a hyper masculine person, and like, in ends, you get a reward for being like that. Do you know what I mean? So if you're aggressive with someone to get something from them, even if it's just they owe you money because you lent it to them, you'll see a reward from that. So this behavior that leads to probably more mental health issues, more unresolved anger, poor communication, you get a reward from that. So you don't think it's a problem. You don't think being aggressive, being tapped is a problem. Do you know what I mean? Because you get a reward from it until you grow up a little bit and you deal with people outside of ends. You realise, whoa. And then everyone's like, I can't operate in this kind of environment. But it's because there's certain things, there's a lot of things, but that's one aspect where...
Well, we all know we know the man. You know, when you think about who you used to look up to in the ends,
even like, today.
Even today, like, who we used to look up to in the ends, because what they were doing was obviously like mad, innit? But they would have like the nicest crepes and the reward aspect. They have the nice phones, but they didn't know that they got that phone because they robbed someone for it. And then the person that got robbed wouldn't want to tell man that he got. Bruv, I got robbed. I remember I had an MP3, and I had my headphones on. I was walking home, and these 3 guys came up to me. They were like, "Yo, bro, like," and they're like 16. I'm like,
"Is this
12.
when you in Heath?"
It was when I moved to Addiscombe.
Joking.
Yeah, so I'm in Addiscombe. But you know how people from Heath would go to Addiscombe to find man to rob, innit? Bro, we all been there. But and he came up to me, he was like, "Yo, bro, like, I love, like, your headphones look sick, something like that. And I was like, oh yeah,
gassed.
Safe, bro. Like, yeah, safe, man. My mum got them. And then he was like, oh, you got an MP3 there? I was like, yeah. He was like, oh, let me listen. Took the headphones, just took the MP3 out, and just walked away. Like 3 of them, they're like, yeah, safe. I was like, bruv, like, you want to take my... And they turned around, they're like, what? And I'm like, there's these 3 16-year-olds. I can't, you know what I mean? What can I do about that? Yeah, you can't do nothing about that. And I didn't tell no one. This is probably the first time I've even told anyone. And I just went home. I went home and I just carried on as normal. Do you know what I mean? But you don't think about... Over time, in my mind, I was like, oh man, I got robbed. So
you know what happens then as well? So if that happens, that's a traumatic event, innit?
Yeah.
But when you see a group of people now, you think, right, is man
on smoke.
Yeah.
Is man trying to do
it's just
something.
natural now.
Yeah, definitely.
And that it's a survival mode, but that leads to other behaviours. So some people, you might react and think, let me just cool down and see what I want, and let me just keep walking and see. Some people might think, fuck that.
That's what I did. I thought, I need to be the aggressor now. So
exactly.
Anyone wants it.
But is that a normal response to that situation? No. Do you know what I mean? And it just leads to more and more things. And if you're in that life where it's quite violent, do you know what I mean? So it's mad though. It is mad.
And that's just our perspective on it. Do you know what I mean? That's just us growing up. But obviously it's not, I'm sure a lot of men here could say the same thing. They had the same sort of experiences growing up. Because we're all from similar
areas,
environments and areas, and we all have the similar ethos about the man that's the most aggressive and that has the nicest things is the coolest guy, whereas the guy that keeps his head down, keeps himself to himself is like, you know, cracking on, he's seen as the waste man.
They don't get noticed.
Yeah, or they just don't get noticed.
That's another one, they don't get noticed.
They don't get noticed,
Yeah.
And yeah, it is mad because, and then I remember even like talking to my dad. I remember when I got, like, this is recently, I got stopped by police in my new car, and I'll go and talk to my dad about it. I was thinking this is a real nice moment where he can tell me about his experiences, and I can feel better because I'm feeling really like
down,
pissed, innit? I was vexed, bruv, like angry because the situation just
continuously
was mad.
happens.
Yeah, it happened to me like 4 times, and then I get home, I was like, yeah, Dad, like I've been stopped in my car like 4 times. He was like, oh yeah, it's cool. Like, he was like, oh, did you do anything? Did you do anything? I was like, nah. He was like, oh, okay, cool, fine. I was like, right, is that it? Like, is that it? Like, I can't be pissed about it. I can't be vexed. And
the
then
lack of the inability to communicate.
But then I messaged him like 3 days later. I couldn't even tell him in person. I had to message him. I said, Dad, I'm not gonna lie, because it sat with me really. Sat with me a lot. And I said, Dad, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I'm not feeling that, man. I wasn't feeling that. I don't know. I just didn't really. I didn't like that from you.
What was his response to that?
I don't really like your response. He was like, I'm not gonna lie, Jordan. Like, I understand, but when I was growing up, I used to get chased home from Man United games by Leeds fans, or I used to, you know what I mean?
So maybe like, in his mind, it's like that's nothing compared to what I dealt with when I was when I was your age.
I'm just happy you made it home.
Yeah,
I'm just happy you made it home.
It's all relative.
Yeah,
I definitely hear that.
Which makes it even.
You know, it's mad. I remember when he's an uncle of mine, innit?
Yeah.
And COVID, it was happening. So it feels like an age ago when this happened. But COVID was happening. I was like to him, this is a bit mad. He's like, what are you gonna do about it? Cry? Move on. Swear that was it. Yeah. That was it.
Conversation done.
And I remember just thinking to myself, all right, cool. Then again, this is during COVID, yeah. So you remember the Michael Jordan doc?
Yeah.
And his dad dies. And then no joke here, he was like, yeah, Michael Jordan was crying like a bitch. And I was like, his dad died.
Yeah.
But that kind of mentality, it kind of feeds into you, and it's like that kind of, what are you gonna do, cry? And someone said to me, if you don't laugh, you don't cry. I was like, well, you can do both.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But like I think it's talking about your emotions isn't easy in general, in a clear, concise way. And I think a lot of people find it hard to be understood.
Yep.
Like, why are you angry? I don't know, I'm just angry. And it takes a lot of unpacking. And a lot of people in just day-to-day life ain't got the time to listen to you like that. So I think that's what it is. Because his response was just similar to your dad's, just
shut it down.
Yeah.
Just move on.
And I think for them, it's like, I don't want to deal with that because I have to deal with my own stuff.
I have to worry about getting food on the table
Yeah,
rather
so
than my
F all
emotions
that.
and stuff.
Yeah.
No,
And I think, I don't know, man. I think there's just being real. I think just from a black male perspective, I just don't think there's a space for a lot of people to really openly talk about worries, even if it's a small worry to a big worry. I don't think there's that really clear space.
That's a good point, because obviously 17 times more likely to be diagnosed with a mental health issue. When we are diagnosed, the individuals that are doing the processing, that are the therapists, the psychiatrists, aren't like us. They're not black men. They're not black individuals. So they don't understand how to communicate with us, and we don't know how to, or the questions to ask or the tone to give, because they are used to a Eurocentric approach to things. So a way of dealing with that is to ensure that there's more representation in those fields, so when we are diagnosed, we are dealt with in a manner that suits us more than the masses, kind of thing.
Because like even now, since I've been doing the work with key changes, you man see it. I can see something and be like, yeah, that's that. That's bipolar. Yeah, he's got that. Or that's PTSD. That's the biggest one. I've realised how many men have PTSD that goes undiagnosed. But there's that point, but then there's the, okay, how do we actually deal with, man? So even like, I think we're all right at it. Like I've called you a couple of times and been like, yo bro, like, are you good? Because I know you're not really one to talk all the time.
Oh yeah, facts. That's the thing, like certain people don't actively display how they feel. But as soon as you ask them, they're like, oh, now I can open up.
Yeah, you're definitely one of them. But them man there, they're like, if you don't ask, I don't tell.
Yeah, I am definitely one of those individuals. It's not that I don't want to talk about it.
Why? Why don't you want to talk about it?
It's not that I don't want to talk about it. It's just, it's a conversation. And I'm not one to just outwardly, out of the blue, say bang. If you ask me, oh, Jamahl, how you doing today? Then I'll be like, oh, this is going on. Or how's work? I'll be like, oh, this is the problem. I'm facing this issue at work, blah, blah, blah. Rather than saying, yo, Jords.
Do you think you don't say it because you feel like who you say it to might not be receptive, and it might just diminish? Because I'm like that a little bit.
I hear could be an aspect of that. Yeah, definitely.
I feel like since, I remember there was a time when I think I even went to your house. No, I think I went to your house and I was like, yo, bro, like you can chat to man, innit? I just said you can chat to man because I get it. Do you know what I mean? I understand. And then since then, you've been a lot more, yo, Jords, this is how I'm feeling. Yo, this is how I'm feeling, and it works both ways. I've called you like pissed off, just like, yo, fuck this shit. Do you know what I mean? And I've done that to you as well. You get me? But I understand after the first conversation, it's easier, innit? Like definitely. Well, with some people, not with everyone.
So not everyone can listen.
Not everyone can listen, and a lot of people are like, you might say to them, like, I'm not feeling great, and they're like, yeah, I'm not feeling great either, bro. This, and I'm like, and now I got to take on your shit, and I'm like, God, because you know, especially for me personally, the capacity that I work in, I'm a helper, innit? I like helping people. But there's only so much you can take on, and I feel like, and then sometimes I feel like whenever I put myself first,
you feel guilty.
People feel, I feel like I'm being made to feel guilty.
I hear that.
Can I ask a question? Car, me and you both deal with people's problems. Yeah. Do you feel like you become a bit of a therapist for people in your personal life?
100%. I think even through my music. Yeah, because the songs that I make, I'll have people come up to me and be like, yo, you see Halos, I lost someone and I feel like this, and I'm like, oh man, like,
you feel entitled to listen?
I have to listen, yeah. In my mind, I have to listen. I'm like, I love the fact that I've helped you. It's so cool, isn't it? Like, and recently I've had to start not ignoring people, but I've had to start keeping it a bit more at arm's length and not getting so emotionally involved in it. Cause
do you know what's mad? Randomly, like, I just remember something someone posted on Twitter. They were like, Brian Tiller, yeah? They're like, I love it when he needs to make more upset music.
Bryson Tiller.
Bryson Tiller.
Ryan.
They're like, he needs to make more upset music or down music, or when Drake makes music that's down and in a negative mindset, talking about his emotions and about how he feels this and how he's sad. He needs to make more of that music. And I'm like, yo, that's obviously, as a musician, you make music about your current mindset. When your grandmother died, you make music about that, whacked out your album. And for someone to say you need to make more of that, then that's just trying to make you be in that mindset, which is quite of a crazy thing.
You know what's mad as well, though? Because I was looking this up. Well, I was reading about it. And so apparently listening to negative music, emotional music, actually helps you through that moment.
It's
But I think social media, I think that if anything's going to tap us down, it's that.
Social media is mad. Social media is mad. But also, there's accountability in it. So you are what you consume. So if you go on Instagram and you follow motivational pages and you follow all of this,
yeah, definitely,
and you follow then you just, like for me on YouTube, I'll in the morning, this week I've been doing that. Especially I've been watching like a Kobe Bryant interview.
Well, I hear that. Yeah, I probably watched some of them.
I've been watching Kanye West in the studio or blah blah blah. That's
the mode you're in, innit?
And I'm there. Like I'm just let's crack on. Let's crack on with it. If I go on Twitter and I scroll on the timeline, then I see all the.
I'm on
stuff. It's about
Twitter's
the balance,
half an hour a day for me.
It's about the balance, because you can obviously start your day like that, but I think if you go too much in that direction and then you feel inadequate in some days, you're like, you know what, I'm not doing enough, then that can spiral you down. Even though you're trying to be motivational, you're trying to be upbeat, if you focus on too much on that and trying to consume that, then it can end up.
That's why you see, so with me, the stuff that I consume, it's not usually music stuff, because I feel like when I don't know why I get mad, not envious, but I'm like, bro, I need to do more. When I see people's music, and I'm like, oh no, do you know what? I'm not doing enough. I'm not doing enough. But if I look at sports,
I hear that,
and I take the mindset from sports, out of my zone, innit? Out of my zone, because no one's ahead of me really. But when I'm looking at that, I think, oh, these men are ahead of me. But I'm like, nah. Like when I step out of that, I'm like, okay.
Do you know what's mad as well? I think you got a bit of awareness with that, yeah. So the documentary Social Dilemma? I watched that with two people, right? One person believed it was a conspiracy by the government to make us feel bad, whatever. The other person, they didn't really take it in. And I think you're talking about controlling your feed, innit? That you are actually in control of that. You can control the feed that you get. You can dislike all these adverts. But I don't think people are that aware of it. And then they follow these people that are showing literally highlights of their life. Yeah. If I show you the highlights of my day, you might think I'm fucking level Bartos, mate. 100%. And I'm flying. I'm not flying, bro. I'm not level Bartos. But if I show you the highlights, it looks like that. And I think
definitely.
That consumerism, especially to a black man, that will put you more down. Because you already feel like I'm bottom of the pile. Then you're looking at this stuff, and you might be looking at people who look like you as well. You're like, right, they're doing all right.
And it goes to the opposite side of things as well. Like if you go on the current climate in many different aspects of parts of the world, how black people are being treated. If you're constantly consuming that, obviously you have to be aware. Don't get me wrong, you have to be aware of what's going on. But if you're every day watching videos, reading interviews, whatever of,
do you know what I say though?
Black individuals, go on.
I don't even think if you can't carry it, don't watch it.
No, but you know what? There's a difference.
Do you know what I mean?
Like for me, I've had to stop watching it. Like so we've had all this the whole Black Lives Matter movement, all of that, and we all know that's been happening. Do you know what I mean? We all know that's been happening. We look at the things that's going on in Nigeria, it's disgusting. But like I know it's happening. Do you know what I mean? And I'm like, I know it's happening. If I watch it anymore, it's just even harder, bro. Do you know what I mean? It's actually even harder. So with that, I've said this to you before, all the education and the people that need to learn about it, it's the other side, and they need to take the time to watch it. But I already know what I'm going. So I'm on the next step where I'm thinking, how can we uplift ourselves and make ourselves feel better? Because and even like my next album's a lot happier. It's happier music because I'm like, I've processed a lot of trauma recently. Now I need to celebrate. Like man's black and I'm a G. Like, do you know what I mean? I'm doing bits and we're all sick. So I need to celebrate that more. I think more people need to see that side of things because especially as black people, we all know about the trauma. And then it's just getting thrown in our faces, all this trauma. And I'm like, bro, like I've lived this day by day in, day out since before I was born. This is inherited PTSD. Do you know what I'm saying? And this is like, and even like now I'm having conversation. I had a conversation yesterday because I'm doing something with for Black History Month with George the Poet next week, and I'm doing like a panel thing, and I think Benjamin Zephaniah's on the panel, you know.
Sick.
And I was talking to this guy who I work with, and he's a white man, and I was like, and he was like, oh, how do you feel about doing the panel with Benjamin Zephaniah? I was like, I'm not gonna lie, I thought it's a bit like intimidating because these men know their stuff, and I don't think I know all that much about like the exact history. And he was like, oh, do you know what, Jordan, though? But they're not. And he was trying to give me advice, and I was like, I'm not gonna lie, I don't want to hear a word you're saying to me because you're not black, in it. It's as simple as that. Because I don't. You can't tell me about my experience on how to be black, so don't dictate how I carry myself in a conversation about Black History Month or Black Lives Matter. You guys need to learn about us and respect us, innit? And we still need to learn about ourselves and respect ourselves, because, like you said, for black men with mental health, we don't have any way to talk about it. Like, really, really difficult for us to talk about it. And it's like hundreds of years of shit that we have to unlearn before we even start to build, if that makes sense. Which is mad. And like, I think only recently, like, rappers have started coming out and talking about their stuff. Obviously Kanye West is like leading the way, saying that he's got bipolar. You've got people like Kid Cudi, he's very like vocal about his mental health, or even Drake to some extent, because he makes sad music, like about having his heart broken, and people only started to be open and honest about getting their heart broken. I remember before, like, a girl would burn man, and I'd be like, no, like, it's whatever, it's cool. But obviously,
I still think they diminish that. Like, Drake is a bit of a joke, not like that, but they would say, oh, you're Draking right now. You know what I mean? So they kind of like. I think another thing, someone said this. I think it was on Twitter. And they said, you know, everyone likes to talk about mental health when it's yoga and meditating. But when it's the manic episodes, the suicidal thoughts, there was a third thing that they said. We don't really talk about that. And I think...
It's not the pretty side of it,
It's not the pretty side. And I think, like, there's terms we use to just cover it up. Like, I lost my head. So, did you get sent off? What happened? You know what I mean? Like, what does that mean? And we it's quickly glossed over, like, oh yeah, I was in a dark spot. Go on. Do you know what I mean? We never allow that person to go on because we're scared of them going through that. And I think, you know, it can be a lot for some people, and we just need to, like, make it more socially acceptable to talk about them things. Like, a lot more. And not fetishized as well. Do you know what I mean? Not in a way like it's a Twitter trend for that month or
that's the thing. These days, that's what you...
we have like World Mental Health Day and all of that, and everyone comes out and says, oh yeah, be happy, or smile, or and like, no, like...
Yeah, it's not that.
It's deeper than that.
It's not that.
Especially like, with key changes, I'm in the trenches, bro. Like, I've been to the hospitals and seen the psychiatric ward.
Did you go to...
St. Pancras?
Wasn't there a prison?
I've been to prisons, what's it called? Forensic units.
Forensic unit. That was
what was it like going to the hospitals and the prison and stuff?
Which is, I was gonna say, like, it's as much as it's hard for the person to say it, it's also hard to hear it. So even going in and seeing that, it's hard, bruv. Like, I went, the first time I went to St. Pancras Hospital, I went to a PQ ward, which is like intensive care unit, and some of the things I saw, like, I'll say once, so there was just one woman in there, and you know, you can just see, like, they're just not there in it, and she's saying, pretty much like talking in tongues, and then she just ran at me screaming. And I was like, yo, this is mad. Like, I was in there like, this is like what you see in the movies and stuff like that. Yeah, it's like that, but more, not as glossy, not as glossed over and that. And I remember coming away from there, and I got home. It was random as hell. I got home and my sister hadn't put the clothes on the line or something like that. And I was like, I just lost. I said, why the fuck is no one putting the clothes on the damn line? And because in my mind I'm thinking, right, there's all this stuff is going on, and I'm seeing all this, and you can't even do this. But obviously, the way I processed it was incorrect.
Because obviously you just essentially witnessed something that's someone's going through something very, very traumatic and at a very mentally vulnerable point
and
in
also
their life.
I'd seen that person before.
Oh, really?
In a good place.
Okay.
So seeing him like that was like, oh.
Yeah.
And I got home and I cried bare, bruv. And just cause, I don't know why I just couldn't contain my emotion. And then I spoke to the people at Key Changes, and they were like, yeah, a lot of people who work for Key Changes actually have counselling themselves.
That's very important. Even so, my mum works she's a family support worker for lower income kids and kids that are vulnerable. Even everyone that's in that kind of field have some sort of therapist.
You know
or
what's mad as
psychiatrist.
well? So if you wanted to get into counselling, you actually have to go through counselling yourself.
Yeah.
And that probably might be, that might be the most triggering point for you, because you've got to really look at yourself and understand why do I do this? Why? There was something that happened yesterday in the gym. You actually, all of us know him, and we're talking about when was the last time you beat.
Yeah.
And he said if it's over, no joke, a week, he questions that. He said if you get to 3 weeks, that's pausey. That's pause. And I was like, what? I said, you're a sex addict.
Yeah.
He's like, why are you looking at me like that? He said, what's the problem with that? But like, we don't even like talking about unhealthy relationships with things. Why on earth is a week weird to you and 3 pausey? Think about that. If you actually just stop for a second and thought, whoa. I just thought to myself, that is actually a mad way to look at life. He said, I haven't gone more than 5 days since I was 16. Like, man.
Seriously?
That's wild, bro.
I was like, it's either you're lying or you are like.
But also, I think
clear problem.
I think putting the label on things makes is triggering. You know what I mean? It's like if you tell a man in the hood, or man's come out of jail, for example, and he's like, yeah, like, or he wakes up, he'll tell you, like, I wake up in the night and I'm like sweating. You're like, oh yeah, you probably got PTSD. And like, nah, bro, nah. It's just you know how it goes, or something like that. Do you know what I mean? Like, they'll openly talk about all the symptoms.
It's the bad stigma that it has.
You don't want to get labelled, innit? Like, people don't want to be labelled, and I think that's also another thing. And I think with black men, we have a lot of pride, bro. We have a lot of pride. We have a lot of pride, and we take on our struggle, and man went through the struggle, and I'm here, and I'm good, and I'm strong, and I got no scars. Do you know what I mean? Like, but I wake up in the night with cold sweats.
Yeah.
like we have scars, bro. Like, we all have scars, and I think once you expose the scar and see it for what it is, then you can start to. You
can actually heal from it.
You can heal from it, and not or even just live with it. Yeah. Because I know a lot of men that have bipolar, and they like, I found out someone very close to me had bipolar, and he just dropped it in conversation. He was like, yeah, like I can't, I got to take my medication because I got bipolar, and I was like, oh, right, you got bipolar? Yeah. He was like, yeah. I was like, say nothing.
Are you relatively? Would you?
Really close.
Really close,
yeah.
And you didn't know that before?
Didn't know it for time. But the way he told me, sick. I was like, yeah, that's sick. Like, you can just tell, man, that you've got bipolar just openly like that. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can just say it, and it's not a not a struggle with you to say it.
Another big thing as well, big thing. It's your support system, innit? Some people come from, like you said, homes that just don't talk about things, or they're broken. But then all that aspect, when you're going through a really, really difficult time, sometimes the difference between a true mental breakdown and just
100%
is that support system. And a lot of people, especially in ends where it's get on and get over it, they ain't got that. Or that family member's got a mental health issue that's probably undiagnosed. Like, I knew this one girl, she said, I don't really sleep at night unless I have a zoo. And I was like, what? She's like, if I don't have it, I am not sleeping. And I was like, the more I got to know, I was like, that's just insomnia, bro.
That's not irregular though. That's very normal.
That's very normal for a lot of people.
But like,
it's not good.
That's like, I would like, obviously there's more to that than just. Yeah. But I was like, this person has clear insomnia. It's almost
just unhealthy relationships with things. Like, I'm an advocate of detoxing, even if it's on some sort of narcotics, if it's alcohol, coffee. You can't consume things for too long of a time. And even if it's as trivial, okay, not trivial, even if it's something like coffee, for example. Some people have coffee every day for years, and it becomes habitual. They have to have it. when you get up in the morning, straight thing coffee.
I like that Runa drink that we had.
Hey, bro,
that
Runas,
drink was mad.
that's
Man, it's
the
macho
Runa-
right now.
The Runa drink
I ain't
was
had that in a
mad.
while.
Yeah.
Man. I ain't gonna lie.
I'll call you, but yeah, you got any of that? Got any of that Runa, bro? Do you know what I mean?
But yeah, I think just having a bit of a break,
yeah.
clearing your mind.
Because remember, I took that break when I went Brighton.
Yeah.
I needed it, bro. And then as soon as I went on it,
A break from life.
I felt great. And I came back.
What made you realise that you needed a break though?
I was snapping at everyone. I snapped at Stevie. I snapped at my mum, my girl. Like everyone was just getting snapped at for anything. Like I think
Stevie getting a pay rise for that.
Like, I think even like I can't remember what it was. It was something like, "Oh, can you send like an email?" I was like, "Nah, like I'll do it tomorrow." And then he was like, "Oh, bro, you always do it." I was like, "No, bun that." I think I proper like. I got mad. I was angry, innit? And then I thought, I'm mad angry at the moment, at everything. And I think I just need to chill because if I don't chill,
but yeah,
I can
it
really
boils down
see
to
this
like
going
some people just when it comes to like a break from life, just going away.
But also the first thing I did, I told my mum. I said, "Mum, like I'm mad tired, you know." And then she was like, "Okay, cool. How do we deal with it? What do you want to do?" So. Like you said, the support system is the difference between finding the solution or finding the solution, which isn't.
It could be a crutch. Could be anything. Could be just switching. Could be
gambling.
It could be a mixture of things.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
It goes back to the counselling thing. I think. Do you know what it is as well? I think there are black counsellors out there. There are,
without doubt.
But I think it's the accessibility. It doesn't feel accessible. It feels also like, man, I ain't got a problem in it.
Yeah.
Like I just got a bit of a limp. I don't know. Need
But
to go
then
to school.
I don't really think.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Me personally, counselling is a great way. I don't think counselling is the way for everyone. I think like you man are my counsellors. I'm you man's counsellors. Do you know what I mean? If you man want to talk to me about
there's
something,
levels.
There's levels, isn't it? You can find your counselling in people. It doesn't necessarily have to be sitting down on a sofa, lying down, paying.
I think that's a very daunting thought for
daunting,
people.
of course.
It's not like that though, you know. It's not quite like that.
But you know,
I know
for example, there's
I know exactly what you
the
mean,
stigma
yeah.
that goes with that.
Yeah.
The stigma that goes with that. It could just be chatting to your uncle. Like my godfather's a counsellor, so I've got him there to chat. But I don't have to go and book a session with man. Like, and be like, I'm lucky that I've just got someone there that I can chat to and that they understand how to talk.
But again, I suppose for people that don't have that support network, for people that don't have the understanding of how to communicate with people, then counselling and some sort of therapist is the only way that they can deal with their past and present issues.
Not only, but very helpful.
Very helpful.
Yeah, very helpful. And I think as well, like it was a story. I don't know if I was in uni when I read it. Yeah, but it was a story about someone who had depression. Yeah, and it just started off as normal as hell. And what had happened is that they just started talking about feeling more and more and more and more and more alone. So what happens is like you reached out to Jamahl, but imagine that reach out never happened. And you just feel more and more and more alone, more and more alone. And that just becomes mad triggering when people say, I'm stuck in my own head. They just need to release.
No,
so
definitely.
you're blessed with a support system. Do you know what I'm saying? We're blessed with, to a certain degree, of a support system. But some people, they really, they don't have much. And when that breaks off, they ain't got much there. So it's just allowing, and it's for black men as well, just knowing like, ain't that deep if you go, you know? It is not that deep. It is not that deep. I've been to therapy. It is not that deep. It was long, but it's not that deep. Like, it's honestly not.
I think there's other things to think. I think being alone is mad because I think, 100%. Because even like, look at who we are. We're black, so already there's that. And when it comes to mental health and suicide, we're men, which is the highest killer.
Yeah, double whammy.
Biggest killer of men. So
It's mad.
boom, boom, boom. So you feel alone because you're a man and you got too much pride and you can't talk to anyone. And you feel alone because you're black. You know what I mean? You just feel alone. Like, when you're black, man, just feel.
When do you think these statistics are actually detrimental? Because, like, for example, in Japan, there's a forest. I can't remember what it's called, but there's a forest that people go to commit suicide. Like, it's
Really?
everyone knows about it in Japan. That's the forest you go to.
Yeah.
If you want to kill yourself, commit suicide, you go there. the Japanese government stopped publishing statistics of how many people killed them or committed suicide there because it kind of promoted it. It's like, 5% more people did it this year. Oh, and it gets people in that mindset that, this is a place where I can.
See. Yeah.
That's a good question. I think it also ties into like where we're from, or you're gonna grow up and you either have to be, statistics prove that if you're not a rapper or you're not a musician or you're not a footballer, you're gonna be selling drugs or you're gonna go to jail. You're this likely to go to jail. So a lot of men think, do you know what?
It's gonna happen.
Fuck it. Yeah, fuck it. Fuck it. I just start selling drugs, and if I go jail, I'll go jail and I'll firm it and I'll come out. Like that's it. And that is leaning into statistics. And this is what I said. This is what I was saying to you. I'm not sure if I said it. I think I said it to you about being called a diamond in the rough or the diamond in the dirt.
Yeah.
That insinuates that everyone else is dirt. Do you know what I mean? But I think that's, and especially where we're from, likelihood are if you're from a lower income background where we're from, you're more likely to be an ethnic minority, you know. So if they're like, oh, Jords made out of the hood, he's the diamond in the rough, like, nah, bro, that's not it.
Yeah.
I don't like that because it's like I've left all of that behind and everything that's behind me is a bunch of shit. But it's not, innit? Like there's gems in the hood, bro. There's man, like all my friends, all my favorite people, like or the best footballers or the best whatever in whatever job, they are from my hood. Like, so like, you know, you know me, I don't really like problems, I like solutions, innit? So moving forward, what do you think that we can do as individuals? What do you think that we can do as a community for, especially for black men, I'd say, because we're black men, to help, I don't know, create an environment where people can be open with their mental health and, you know, embellish the stigma behind it. What do you think we can do?
I would say just one thing, just check up on the man them, innit?
Yeah.
Every now and again and say, Jords, T, how you guys doing today? You guys, how's your week been? Specifically, how's your mental health been? Is there anything I can talk with you about? Blah blah blah.
Would you say specifically, as in how is your mental health?
Both generally, and because like I suppose we talk so often. We talk every day. To be fair, all of us talk every day, but it's about other things, and we don't essentially ask, "How are you doing?" We don't ask that kind of question.
It's more like are we saying you good? Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, we saying.
That's
and it's just a formality.
It just starts the conversation going. But if you ask specifically, privately, like, yo, bro, how you doing today? How's your mental health? Those specific questions, I think, would go a lot. Will start the ball rolling from people being able to open up a bit more and communicate more a bit.
So that's more individually.
Yeah.
I want to ask you specifically, like, as a community,
larger scale,
larger scale, what can we do?
I think, you know what, creating similar to what you said, but just larger, creating environments that are accessible for people to talk about their mental health, the ugly side and the kind of glossy side on social media as well, with like yoga and thought therapy and things like that. But I just think creating that environment, making it accessible and putting faces that look like the people that are there. Do you know what I mean? And they talk how you would talk. They understand. They may not have been in your life, but they can understand it a bit more than the generic white face or Eurocentric face, I should say. So
playing devil's advocate, you know, you're saying how it can get fetishized and made a thing, big song and dance about it, and nothing really happening. How's that different? Because I feel like all those things that end up getting fetishized and made into viral campaigns, they all do start from a good place. They all start with good intentions. They all start with good thoughts. It's just somewhere, something like that, like you said, a campaign where we see our faces, it does get lost and it becomes more people just jumping on. I think that's inevitable wherever you go.
I think it's inevitable. I think it's inevitable, but you just got to hope that the people that are implementing it are pure, if that makes sense. So the people that are actually involved in the day-to-day therapy of it, communicating with people, creating those campaigns are pure. Naturally, anytime something gets large, it loses its
dilutes itself.
It kind of loses itself, especially when you're marketing it.
Yeah. I think nothing's obsolete as well. So say it does get fetishized, the fact that it's still that some positive can be brought from it. If you always say it's fetishizing the negative side of things, but even though it is in the mainstream, and people are starting to have some sort of discussion about it, is a good thing. I think we are moving in the right direction.
It starts at home, though, and charity starts at home.
Definitely. And just having that, again, the support network is a very important part of the progression.
I just got an idea for like a campaign though. So like are we saying you're good? The whole campaign.
Yeah.
Are we saying you're good?
I hear that.
And, yeah.
It makes sense.
Yeah, that's a good. We'll make it happen. We'll make it happen.
Yeah, no, hey.
Good
I like that.
place to end that.
Yeah.
Yeah.